Dit is donderdag aand en ons is uiteindelik weer terug met die losgemaal. Ons het natuurlik 'n bietjie 'n breek gevat saam met internasionale rugby, maar ja, nou is ons weer reg om lekker rugby te praat en ons het 'n show en ons almal nou uitsien vanaand en Reen iemand wat nie 'n breek gevat het nie. Hy was die laas naweek so bietjie in aksie gewees met daai try van hom aan. Reen, welkom by die show vanaand.
Hein, dankie, dis lekker. Ja, is lekker om weer terug te wees. Was nou die laasweek op en ja, ek was daar onder interskole gewees in Parel. So as ons 'n show gehad het laasweek, sou ek in elk geval vir jou moes sê, sorry Hein, jy gaan moet alleen stap. Maar ja, lekker om op te wees en ja, ek sien sommer baie uit in naweek se rugby.
Reden ons die man wat so klein bietjie saam met jou gaan praat oor jou einste try en die hele wedstryd en so aan, maar sê net bietjie vir ons. Ek meen ons almal weet nou jy's ek sê altyd jy's seker een van die min vrystaters wat daarso sit met 'n paaltrytjie aan, maar jy het moeite gedoen, jy het sommer 'n week lank gees gevang omtrent klink dit my en jy moet seker baie trots wees op jou boys daai manne soos wat jy nou nog gesit.
Hein, kom ek sê nou vir jou nie. Ek het dit eintlik, ek was nou vir 'n week daar soos jy sê, maar ek het dit gekoppel met werk ook. So dit was hom nie net plesier nie. Maar dit was 50-50, kom ons stel dit daar. Maar in elk geval, nee, dit was 'n uitstekende wen. Nou ek was al by verskriklik baie interskole, ek het lankal opgehou tel. Ek het al goeies gesien, ek het al average games gesien, maar jy sien nooit swakker as average. Daai spanne lig hulle self altyd, maar is baie min. Want jy twee spanne kry wat gelyk, wat eintlik maar ewe goed is, maar hulle self elkeen so lig en daai intensiteit kan volhou vir die hele game. Dit is iets wat jy nie baie sien. Dit was 'n absoluut awesome game. Alright, die result het ons kant toe gegaan, daaroor is ou obviously bly. Maar yes, wat 'n game was dit nie. En om daar te kon gewees het nie. Ja, nee, ek sal vir jou tot naas klaar is nog steeds, as ons nog eens by ons gas uitgekom het nie. So ek dink ek moet liewer los. Maar ja, dit was great geweest.
Ja, kyk, ek moet sê as 'n Natalertjie wat Stellenbosch toe gegaan het en toe per ongeluk by een van daai wedstryde uitgekom het, moet ek vir jou sê dit was 'n ongelooflike belewenis om so 'n tipe derby te sien. Ek meen dis iets wat ons gewoon daai kant nie, maar 'n man wat nou ook dit gewoond is en 'n hossende reis gehad het. Ek het hom eintlik natuurlik op om 'n bietjie ordentlik oor die Springbokke te gesels, maar daar's eers ietsie wat hy mee met Reden moet praat. BJ, welcome to the show.
Cheers, Han. Thanks very much. How's Reden? How's it going?
Hello, BJ. Thanks for coming up. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, man.
Soos ek sê, ons ken natuurlik BJ van die skade wat hy gemaak het daar vir die Sharks voor teen ander voorspelers en vir die Bokke en daarna broad, maar ja, ons het hom gebring twee dinge bietjie Springbokke te praat en die clash natuurlik met Nieu-Seeland wat 'n groot te gaan wees, maar Renen het mooi gevra, hy wil eers 'n bietjie met die man praat, bietjie sy brein piek en ja, ek het beloof ek gaan net vanaand glad nie oor 'n ref praat nie, so ek gaan dit vir julle manne los om bietjie oor die game self praat. Renen, take it away.
Thanks. Yeah, no, we're not going to refer to the ref. That's already been all over the place, and it's not a positive topic, so we leave it alone, BJ. No, I've actually only got two questions for you. The first one, your experience of it, the whole week leading up to it, the hype, or you spoke off air where you said guys like Corne Krieger told you in the past about what it's about. So I guess you had a picture in your mind of what your expectations were of it. How did it play out for you?
Yeah, there's no doubt my expectations were met and really more, what a week. And they talk about the week that leads into it. You can't really obviously foresee that, but it's just incredible. I suppose now being on the other side, you can understand why it's such a manic week. I mean, guys are traveling from overseas, guys are traveling from different provinces. There's 10-year reunions, 5-year reunions, 40-year reunions, all coming together in 1 week. You, as a coach, are invited to many of these reunions and obliged to go, where a lot of beer is shared and good times are had. And then you have to wake up the next morning and get the guys ready for the weekend. And I suppose that preparation, mixing with obviously the old boys and the supporters, and then getting ready for the weekend is key. But it all just flows to that final day on Saturday. But another big day is obviously also the Friday, which sets the tone of the rivalry between him and obviously boys. And yeah, it's awesome to see. I'm a newcomer, and just relishing in the tradition that obviously Gim and boys I have for many, many years, and just great to be part of it. But as I said, the week was unbelievable, and I can see why Corner and past Springboks speak about this week of being a special part in their rugby career.
No, definitely, and I think just leading to the next question, I just wanted to add to that. I think the fact that the impact of COVID the last 2 years, there being no interschools, I don't think that did you any favors for you personally, because yes, you would have been affected by this tidal wave of all the people and the whole hype and everything. But for me, I've attended so many schools in the past. I mean, I grew up in Paul, went to Boys France A all the way through. So it's been a while for me, and I've never in my life experienced the amount of people we had this week and the intensity of the vibe. But anyway, that's just, I think if COVID didn't happen and you joined up in, say, 2020, it would have been very much the same experience. But this year, even I could feel that, something's on here. Anyway, BJ, just the second question.
I felt that, and I think it came a combination of, as you say, COVID, people just celebrating the game and the derby being played again, the interschools, and multi-sports. Obviously, we look at rugby as the game on the weekend, but there's hockey, there's all different tennis and horse riding and golf and whatever. And look, it was just great that, as you said, the derby is on again, the interschools on again, and this apprehension of it happening, and actually is it going to happen, and everyone being together. I think that was a cause for massive celebration, other than obviously the game.
Yeah, it was a celebration of life overall.
Yeah.
Anyway, second question, BJ, a little bit technical, so I'll just explain a little bit. We scored a big enough percentage of our tries this year off the split maul or the fake maul, because what happens is you get your 5 meter out line out, Luca John Small, throws it in. Then the maul forms. As it forms, the hooker comes around, and he joins from my limited view, from what I could always see, where the 8th man is supposed to be. Then the maul splits up, and John then crashes over. The reasoning I can only imagine behind this must be that you need to, I don't know. I think I'll put it like this: you play with the opponent's head. Which way is it going to go? Because it literally splits up. Now, my question to you is, I've seen and I've watched all our games for obvious reasons, but I cannot recall one time where we employed this maul where we were more than 5 meters away from the line. It was always from the 5 meter line out. Now, not once in the game did we get a 5 meter line out. Not once. Now, yes, that can surely be down to chance, and I'm not one that believes in chance, but surely a percentage of that, it's just how the game goes. My question to you is, and I'm going to put it in a statement to you. I think Peter Rousseau, as good a coach as he is, figured us out and somehow found a way to limit the opportunities for us to take a line kick for the line and go this way, be it by limiting, giving away penalties in certain areas of the field. I don't know. Fact is, he got it right. From what I saw, and I've watched the games no less than 5 times already now. It was only been on Saturday. Be that as it may. What do you think? Am I onto something?
Yeah, you could definitely be, Renan. I think the big thing for us, first and foremost, I think the message we would have given to our guys, obviously, no penalties in the 22, and that was probably the first thing. So get the ball out of there, and obviously don't allow them penalties. But being the game it was, if it was a kickable penalty, both teams would have gone for it as well. I mean, that's the way the game into schools go. You take your points. It's kind of close enough to, in the sense of the mindset, like a test match. It's a real arm struggle. And yes, if you're going to go for the maul, you must be dead sure that you're going to be 5 meters. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit too easy to defend. Just regarding the split maul and going into that kind of situation, well, that's also just a natural occurrence of this, obviously, of the defense sometimes, because the way it works, obviously, is that we secure that ball at the back, and then the guys obviously working at the front. But usually that does break off some parts of the front of the maul, and we try and keep the arrowhead as straight as possible. And the inside line, I suppose it's difficult just to explain just by words, and rather show pictures, but you've seen it and how it's obviously happened in games. Now, that's obviously the way, and we've had a lot of success with that. But we obviously, if we were in a position that we were kind of close to the line, a penalty and not kickable, probably would have gone for the corner, but we just didn't get many of those. And whether it comes down to just them letting us play and not really giving away penalties in their 22 close enough, I think it could have been definitely something they looked at. Obviously, we've scored many tries. So, but in the same way, I suppose the way we obviously looked at Paul Jim as well, we know that they got a destructive maul, and we worked, really hard on trying to stop that and we had some good success with that. And just a lot of the teams from Jim anyway have strong mauls, and something we had to deal with well. And it's something we had to deal with, and we dealt with it well enough. It's not easy, but they really have effective maul. But we managed to get that under control, and then after the ref says it, use it twice, and you kind of then ready for defense, and that's what we obviously really did well. And look, it's always difficult to kind of preempt what they were thinking, but I suppose in these games you just don't want to give penalties out in the 22, which probably led to the fact that we would have gone for the post if it's kickable, not for the line to score the try. And also, I think lastly, we were in a good position score-wise. We weren't chasing the game at any stage. I don't think we were out within 7 points at any stage, so not chasing it. So that also probably alluded to the fact that we just wanted to keep the scoreboard ticking, keep things tight, keep building pressure,
No, definitely. We managed the game so well, percentage-wise as well. And I wasn't even going to think of this. Sorry, on one final question, but you brought it up now. Our game management, it was just so good, and they felt the scoreboard pressure. And I wouldn't say they cracked under it, but they showed cracks. And, to recompose yourself in such a cauldron, being behind and feeling that kind of pressure. I know I would have cracked spectacularly. And most other people would have. So you could even give kudos to them for staying in it. And for flipping well, damn nearly winning it. But they did extremely well. Both teams. It was such a game.
Yeah, and that's why they're so big events, because it's a quality side. It's Paul Jimmy playing against. You never ever let your guard down, and we know that, and we knew that. It happens time and time again. So I suppose that's what leads to the event that happens between the two schools, and it's that's why I suppose it's such a show and a massive attendance because of that. And any team can win in the tight scoring. It's amazing how tight the scores have been over the years. It just blows your mind,
No, it is. Anyway, it's all yours.
Yeah, I actually saw the stat coming up after the game, and it was incredible. I think out of the last, I think it was 5 or 7 they had on there was never a bigger points difference or margin than 5 points. So it's incredible how that's always a close one. And geez, what a second half. It was tight and a bit of chase in that first half, and it really opened up in that second half. I think maybe not as great for a coach, but as a spectator, it was bloody brilliant. But listen, it's time to move on to another derby. But just before we go and have a proper look at the All Blacks and the Boks, BJ, just in general, going away from the Welsh series, what did you take from the Bokke game? Where did you think we are leading up to the Rugby Championships?
Yeah, well, from the Welsh series, first thing that sticks out is never write off a team coming to South Africa playing in a test match. And especially a team like the Welsh, who are proud rugby nation, and we've seen what they can do and how we've obviously over the years, I wouldn't say struggle with them, but they've just been a sticky one always. The type of game they play, they've managed to keep the ball out of their half, talking about staying out to 22, and really, attritional side, just makes tackles, keeps you under pressure, never allows you to make much kind of ground in any parts of the field. So look, part and parcel of the series was also backing some youngsters coming through and obviously looking forward to the World Cup next year. So I think they did that well to an extent. I think they backed themselves in the second test. And look, I feel like looking forward now, I think for me it was the right thing to do. You know, it was going to be inevitable to happen, and I suppose that's how we've always worked. As you know, the pinnacle for us as South Africa is the World Cup, and we know that, and we build towards that, and you know our trajectory goes up and kind of hopefully at no stage down. So look, I think they can come out there with a lot more, you know, knowledge and understanding of what players they have at hand. How they manage the players now going forward. It's going to be a big task, especially through the championship and then obviously end of the year, because next year goes really quickly. It just happens so quickly. It comes around and you're ready at the World Cup prelims, and here we go. So it's really going to go quickly now. So it's about managing players, getting the most out of them, and obviously then also, you know, the performance that hopefully leads to the result. So yeah, I think we're in a really good place leading into this first test and the kind of championship, the rugby championship, and for me, looking forward to obviously how an All Black side arrives that kind of obviously for me got beaten up really by Ireland in New Zealand. It was a convincing kind of win that, and it will be interesting how they react to that. I think they're going to react as we all know, as All Blacks would react, but it seems how we're going to deal with it.
En dis my die interessante ene met hierdie reeks wat nou kom is, jy weet, ons almal praat soos BJ daar sê, the All Blacks bouncing back, en it's iets wat die mense altyd bekommer, jy weet, hulle is altyd van as jy op hulle sterte getrap het, en don't back them into a corner, they're gonna come out fighting, maar ek kyk so terug, dis een uit die laaste 5 wat hulle kon wen, jy weet, so dit is ewe skielik, jy weet, is die geval, jy weet, is dit nog steeds hierdie ou Nieu-Seeland span, we still have to fear them, of jy weet, is dit 'n geval dat as jy kyk, ons sal nou die spanne opbring dat they right for the picking, jy weet, dit is die conundrum wat die mense half op die sit, jy weet, aan die een kant, ons raak senuweeagtig, klomp ouens daar in die media, everyone's getting on the bandwagon and saying how the All Blacks are over it and the coach is under pressure, but you know, it can go both ways. It can really rile them up, or it could work and put them under more pressure. So hoe sien jy daai enetjie Reenen? Dink jy is tot ons voordeel of tot ons nadeel waar hulle self bevind wanneer hulle nou weer aanland?
Kom ek sê jou, ek deel glad nie die sentiment van die pers wat besig is om hierdie ding te vertrap nie. En ook ek is maar teleurgesteld in 'n gedeelte van die ondersteuners, veral op social media, wat regtig geen waarde aan moet heg nie. But no, I don't see. Look, we're going to need to be at 110%. Ons verstaan nie kyk, ons weet hulle coaching setup is nie lekker nie. Die balans daar binne is nie lekker nie. But we don't understand the intricacies of it. We can only sit on the side and kind of look at it and say, okay, things aren't all going too perfectly there. En dit is so, dinge loop nie lekker daar. Maar ons weet nie presies, onthou hulle het nou veranderinge aangebring nie. Hulle het vir Joe Smith 'n groter rol gespeel. Nou raai Joe Smith, ons weet almal wat hy daar reg gekry het die verlede met groot spanne. So nee, wat hy kom ek sien nou vir jou. Die All Blacks te punt om te bewys. Een Foster het 'n punt om te bewys. Hulle is 'n verskriklike trots in daardie kombinasie. Ons weet dit almal. Ek kan jou 'n brief gee. Daar's nie een huidige Springbok speler wat hierdie All Blacks eers per ongeluk gaan onderskat. Dit sê ek jou. En dis wat tel. Nie wat ons aan die kant dink of wat flippin Makieu hy dink of wie ook al nie. Dis hulle moet reg wees vir dit en ek is absoluut oortuig hulle is. So no, we're going to get 2 cracking test matches. And I'm just glad we're not playing them in New Zealand. We got the luck of the draw here to play them in South Africa. The way things are playing out. So nee wat, groot games hy. Close. Hier kom rillers. You know.
BJ, you reckon it's a dangerous place for the Bokke team to be if all this build-up, or you afraid that, you know, Rassie and the guys, they'll have them fired up? I mean, this is the All Blacks, no matter what state they arrive in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think we don't, kind of, the media is one thing, and I suppose we know how as proud All Blacks and the New Zealand nation is of their rugby and the rivalry between themselves and the Springboks. And these matches are interesting because of the fact that they get you to another level because of that. I mean, us growing up, the ultimate has always been, if you ever ask any guy growing up who wants to be a Springbok, when he does become a Springbok, his ultimate is to to play a test against the All Blacks, and then to win one in New Zealand. And the thing is that obviously in South Africa as well, but I mean the ultimate is to win in New Zealand because that's the toughest, we feel. And that hasn't changed. I think it's still going to be this rivalry, and we will find that dark place, and so will they, and bring it on the weekend, because they will take their game to another level just because of the occasion. So there's no doubt Russell will get them in a place, but they won't need to be motivated against that black jersey. I really believe that, it is really is a big event, a big test, in any, the biggest really for me, and I think all the guys would say that in any Springboks kind of career. So it's going to be big. It's going to be as big as it ever was. I think New Zealand are hurting. I think that's they're wounded animal, and they'll show that. And where better else to show it is in South Africa against the Springboks.
I must say the big thing you say there, it's that old rivalry. I always say, even in whether it's schoolboy rugby or in the leagues, it's in a derby. It's almost like you can forget about form. It's just a different level that you hit. It's that school derby where everyone says, just did you win the derby? It doesn't really matter about the rest of your year. If you won the derby, then it's all good. And often, you could be having a bad season, but you win that one derby game because it's just you forget about the coaching and the structures, and you just go there and lift it all the level, and you put that behind you. So I must say I'm a bit fearful on that one, but let's pop the All Black team on there. I don't know if it's big enough for you guys to see, but the big talk, obviously, and BJ, this is the one where I'd really like to come knocking is that pack. I mean, we can talk about this bounce back ability of the All Blacks and how dangerous they are, and counter attacking and loose ball and all of that. But if we look at the cold hard facts, you just got to think that that tight five just isn't as imposing as they have been in days past, and that's definitely somewhere we know the old famous Bokke template is just going to be about tackling up front.
Yeah, I can tell you Retallick is a massive loss. We know that. That is huge. He is just a workhorse, and he's athletic, and he's aggressive, and he gets everything, and he obviously mixes it very well with Samuel Whitelock. So that is a big loss there, a huge loss. Obviously Whitelock and Barrett, both those guys are 50 plus test matches, Whitelock 100 plus. The area of the back three, kind of Iani, Kane and Surveyor, are also effective. Obviously, as we look at past All Black teams, obviously not as effective as I believe as them are, but they still got 50 plus tests, kind of really a good amount of test matches. And my area that I look at is really the front row, and how they're going to match up, because again, even though I'm obviously speaking from a props perspective, but they are relatively new. I don't know how many times they have played against the Boks, if any. And that's going to be a big challenge. I'm surprised they're putting Dane Coles on the bench. I would have thought they might start with him, being the players and what he's obviously added from an experience perspective, which is going to need that experience. So look, I think it's going to be interesting how we go up front. The scrum for me is going to be a big part. I feel that they just don't have that power up front, to match us from a scrummaging perspective. They just don't have that experience up front at 1, 2, and 3. And I believe that Dane Coles will probably be called upon sooner rather than later. And I don't think they're too far off, really. I suppose maybe they just haven't clicked, but again, the guy that misses, who's going to take a lot out that pack is Retallick, for me. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be really, again, as we always say, the old cliche, won and lost up front, and that's where it is with these games, scrummaging, mauling, the tight battles at the close contact areas, Absolutely.
I'd like to come back to the scrum, and maybe Trevor and those guys again. I just quickly want to bring in Rhiannon there. Rhiannon, looking at the All Blacks, to me, the big one there, as BJ said, obviously the front row, and even the depth that on the bench. That's where the Boks really pack a punch, and they bring on that bomb squad, and Terrell Lomax and Ethan de Groot. I'm just not sure how they're gonna cope with those big boys, but the loose trio or the back row, as they say, Akira Ioane, Sam Cane, Ardie Sevilla, somehow it's just like they haven't been able to find that balance that works. individually, Sevilla is great, Akira is a great ball carrier, and same obviously has some of his critics, but somehow that just hasn't worked out. They've tried some different combinations, Scott Barrett at 6 and Audi moving around, and that seems to be a bit of a problem to them, and surely that's an area that the Boks will also be looking to attack.
Yeah, definitely we will attack that, Hein. I'm old school in the sense that you need to see those loose trio, you need to see them under the blanket. And these All Blacks haven't been under the blanket, they've been all over the place. Individually, like you say, they're great players. They are world-class players. Each and every one of them on their own are world-class, but they don't gel. And against our back row, they're gonna, I don't know, they're gonna have a hard time. I wanna agree with BJ. I don't understand why Dane Coles is on the bench. Is that possibly Ian Foster with making a chess move in the sense of trying to counter our bomb squad? It could well be, and it could work for him in a sense. And I also want to add, you probably want to move to the backline as well. I'm a massive fan of Caleb Clark. Really, that kid he's got a massive future. He's brilliant. He's awesome. And he hasn't played for the All Blacks for 2 years now. That can go both ways. It can either work out very well because he's bringing massive physicality and a presence to the backline, or he could be found out for not having played Test match rugby for 2 years. Which one will it be? That's just yet another subplot that we're looking at ahead towards this game. So yeah, no, but this All Blacks team is as strong as a team as they could have picked. And the venue where they're playing Nelspruit or Mbombela isn't that far, that high above sea level. So altitude won't really come into the game here. So yeah, very, very, so many angles on this. But yeah, that's my view of the All Blacks.
PJ, I know you like to keep things tight, preferably, but just Caleb Clark mentioned there by Rhiannon going up against the Bok youngster, Kurtley Arends. I mean, that's again, I think we talk about styles, and it's almost two completely different ones there. It's the old Samoan sidestep version of Caleb Clark, and then Kurtley Arends who can sidestep you in the phone booth, as they say. So that's going to be a little interesting one-on-one if they get enough chance to show us.
100%. We know how exciting and dangerous the New Zealand's backs are. And they just fire off from strength. They can step, but I suppose Caleb Clark, as you said, shows that kind of brute strength and really strong running kind of wing. Compared to a guy like Kurtley Arends is just immense in the sense of he's stepping, as you say, he can step a guy in a phone booth. And I think the key there would be is how if we follow through with our Springbok, closing that door on the outside defense, and give him no room to kind of work with, and then obviously the inside working really hard to cover on the outside. I think that's the way they'll continue, and there's no kind of I think something special on that. You just hard off the line, make your hits, and really drive them back at that breakdown. So look, it's going to be interesting because they are very good at offloading, getting the ball away, and especially someone like Caleb Clark. We have to close both those areas down, and it makes things tricky from a defensive perspective. So yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting. And yeah, some guys with opportunities to kind of show what they can do in the back three as well.
Rhiannon, I think the one interesting thing is, I mean, you, as they always say, you know exactly what the Springboks are going to bring to a game, but it's a case of can you handle it? And I think the one thing when the All Blacks are at the top of the game, it's a case of they punish mistakes and bad kicks or ball going to ground and then picking it up and scrambling and making you pay. That's the fine margin that you've got when playing the All Blacks. So I suppose it's going to be critical for the Boks to execute the game plan that they do well, but they got to do it extremely well this weekend.
Exactly, that goes for every week, but even more so when you come up against the likes of New Zealand. But our defense will also need to be completely on point, because I'm going to repeat this: the role of Joe Schmidt cannot be underestimated. I dare say we don't exactly know what these All Blacks are going to bring. I cannot rate Joe Schmidt high enough. may well be the best in the world. But okay, that's a subjective view. Fact is, he's been given a much bigger role within the setup now. And they will have worked hard with him in these last 2 weeks. And they will bring one or two new aspects to the game. And we may well, Rassie is a master tactician. It's possible that he may foresee, what they may bring or may not bring. I don't know, I'm talking general terms here. But it just makes for such an intriguing game, once again. So many variables. But yeah, to get back to your question, for us we need to execute at 100%. We cannot make mistakes because they will punish it. They're hungry and they're angry. And an angry team punishes. We need to be ready for it.
BJ, now also doing some of the coaching side of things. How good must it be? You talked about where the Springboks are after the Welsh series and, building some depth. And I think no place better than that pack of forwards, especially the front row. I mean, we've got options there. It's like we don't blink an eye when Trevor and Yakani gets a start. You've got Ox in there. Thomas was given a go. And, we've got Kitsoff. Almost want to see him getting a start sometime. It's just it's all over the place. I mean, starting Marks this weekend and having Bongi the other way around. It's literally you can almost pick three different front rows, and it's not going to make the team weaker at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Our depth. In testament to as I said, the selection process. Giving guys opportunities to build those test matches over time, experience, looking after the players, selecting around that. There's no surprise kind of picking a guy like Salman Murat this weekend. He's a one cap, but, he comes into a massively experienced side. And that is the key, to bring these guys in like a lock, and he comes and scrums behind a front row like that, and they make these one or two changes and then they fit in like a puzzle. And that's how they've built, the squad over the last couple of years. And, for me, really interesting. I've always kind of talked about Trevor tight head. I think he's our most technically apt tight head we have, really. I mean, France brings a lot of the different things, such as his a kind of strength and weight, and he kind of scrums a little bit differently to Trevor because obviously just weight and size difference. And, for me, Trevor coming into the loosehead side, I was excited to see him against Wales. And they did a good job, but I felt that, they were going to do, a little bit more, kind of punishment. So, look, then Marks is an interesting one as well for me. Obviously, Bongi for me really, I suppose that glue between that strength up front. He's got good combinations. He's scrummed with France many times and Kitsoff and stuff. And him coming in, obviously on the bench again, just adds that, strength to that bomb squad. And for me, Malcolm Marks is probably the one player that stood out the most, and he's come off the bench, he scored a try, he's made a difference up front, he's been accurate at line-out time, he's been accurate at scrum time, and he's a tall hooker, and it's not always that easy to kind of dominate like that. He's found a way to kind of get in a good position with his hips and maximize that. And look, as we've seen against the Welsh are a strong pack, even though they were counted down, they're strong scrummages. They play week in, week out against big opposition and provincial level, and they're a proud kind of nation, as I said. So look, I think this New Zealand pack is to get. We can get at them, and we just have to slowly turn that and suffocate that kind of pack, which I think will happen. I just don't think they've got the experience up front, and for us to kind of have that experience, we should get a lot of rewards there.
BJ, you touched on it quickly there, just finishing off on the props. Was it a bit of a surprise to you to see, I think it was that second one, having Thomas start, I think Thomas was at loosehead and Trevor at tight head, and now seeing Trevor go back to tight head. Do you think it's a case of Rassie just wanting to be comfortable with both Thomas and Trevor being able to cover one and three, looking ahead at the World Cup situation, or where do you think Nienaber and Rassie are at in terms of where Trevor and Thomas should be playing their rugby?
Yeah, look, it's also difficult with the provinces as well, because obviously Thomas also plays tight head at the Sharks, And then when he comes to the box, it's a different, for me. But I think Thomas is as a loose head. That's my kind of, if I was looking at him as a prop, he's a loose head. For me, he's an out-and-out loose head. And look, from a specialist perspective, it's sometimes always difficult to jump 1, 2, 3. There's not many props that can do that effectively and really dominate. I mean, starting, I suppose someone made a comment on Twitter, I can't remember, I think it was Tank, and he said about France, if you look at your front row, who's an out-and-out test starter? Like, he's your kind of opening batsman. And I think you can say probably France, and that's it. I'm talking about kind of combinations. Who do you move around, And I think, yes, of course, Trevor can start at tight head, but I suppose from what you want from the game, how your bomb squad is used, as we say, off the bench, and how effective, for me, again, France is not going to be effective coming in from a bomb squad perspective. He does he's in the coal face, and he's there from the beginning. He kind of gets that crease going. And if you talk about cricket terms, so yeah, look, I think definitely Trevor for me is probably one of those guys that can do it well. But I still think it's very difficult, and it is a coach's dream though, because if you have someone that can do it like Trevor can do it, it becomes a selection, a little bit of a situation where it's great for the coaches in one part. The player now, it's up to the player. Does he keep on going in that realm, or does he say, no, I want to be selected only as a tight head, and then runs a risk of basically not being on the bench or not playing, whatever, So I think they've got these, obviously Springboks work in this very good squad system, as we've seen how they change players, and they understand that, and they know exactly which games they're going to be playing and how they're going to be used. So I think for me in that realm, it's quite evident that for me, Thomas is going to be a loose head. I rate him as I think he's a loose head. Kind of Trevor for me, as I said, he's probably more at tight head, but that transition from obviously tight head to loose head is much easier than the other way around.
In very technical terms, BJ, we just say Frans skramel moeg. Hy skramel moeg. That's his job, and he does it bloody well.
100%.
Luister, Reenen, so ons kyk na hierdie spannetjie, waar wen die Bokke die game hierdie naweek? Wat's die plan?
Nee, wat ek stem saam met BJ hierso aan. Dit gaan maar voorlangs gebeur, jy weet. I'm not gonna get into the intricacies of the props because I simply don't have the knowledge. I don't think any of us have. You need to have played there, like BJ did at the highest level. So yeah, but again, the back row. Our back row with the experience that they bring. Siya Kolisi wat al die wêreldbeker gelig het. Pieter Steef hy was op sy dag speler, jy weet, World Player of the Year. En Jasper, he speaks for himself. Voorlangs, ons gaan vir hulle voorlangs moeg maak. Hulle het dit nie in hulle om vir ons voor besig te hou nie. Aanvanklik, ja, elke game begin mos nou maar op 'n level en dan kan kry iemand die oorhand en ek moet nou nie probeer arrogant dink nie, maar ek kan nie sien hoe ons nie die oorhand oor hulle gaan kry. Ons gaan. And then you break them down, they start making mistakes, and then the bomb squad comes up. It happens so often. I can see it happen again. But just remember, it's not going to be a walkover. The game will be won up front, but we won't win it by plenty because of the All Blacks.
BJ, another interesting one was the Damian Willemse is basically just slotted in there almost quietly. Willie seems to be taking on the new role of switching to the bomb squad, adding some experience and just some calm there. And every week, I think before the box play, there's this little chirp of, now we're going to give the ball more air this week, and yeah, the only air we give it is off Polly's boot and Faf's. So I think it's probably going to be more of the same. It's going to be another good challenge for Damian Willemse. So obviously, he really stood out for me against Wales in the aerial battle, but I doubt whether we'll see too much of Kurtley Arendse and Damian ball in hand.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, possession is, territory is so big in this arena, and we've seen it used against us, and we'll definitely, kick to, as we do, to get the ball back from the base and Faf and effectively, hopefully, and then obviously kick for the territory and, put the pressure. But, for me, talking about a player like Damian Willemse, what a player to step up in a series like Wales. I mean, slotting that kick, he knew kind of, I think he had 16 caps or 15 caps only coming onto the scene, and almost cemented his position then, I think, and then did it again. Obviously did it in the URC as well, and did it in the final, so for me, big player in big games, and it's, I suppose in one part maybe it's given that a little bit of, everyone's been talking about Willie and giving him a hard time, and age and all sorts of stuff, but let me tell you something, we've seen what he can do, and he showed what he can do in the Welsh Test matches, and he's just going to be this channel of experience down to the youngsters. You won't believe how much effect they have on these guys starting and being there as an experienced player and being ready, when he gets the opportunity. So he'll know his role. And look, it's going to be, as you say, it's going to be aerial. The guys are going to have to be so solid under the high ball, and kind of build their way up the field. And that's what they're going to do. Bowden Barrett and these guys kick really accurately and effectively, so they're going to have to be ready for everything.
I'd like to wrap up with some predictions, but just one final one there. Henk, watching on, says this 6-2 split, it's become bomb squad and synonymous with the Bokke game. It does carry a little bit of a risk. We've seen Grant Williams in that second test, having to go to the wing in his first game. That's not great. And again, you do have the luxury of a Damian Willemse being able to move over to 10 and those kind of things. But it does leave you a little bit vulnerable, especially if you get an injury early amongst the backs.
Yeah, look, I think that's why we have Kwagga there. He covers basically the whole back line. But jokes aside, I'll tell you what he does. I mean, other than, I think, Flav, he can. But yeah, look, it is risk. I mean, but that's I suppose how you plan your attack. As such, I think that's what works for us. I think you can work around that. But we've seen these test matches that obviously will take place this weekend, and World Cup games, talking about playoffs, big semi-final, final, quarterfinals. Games are won up front, and that taxing part of the rugby today, and yes, the last 10 years, it's been building up, and it's massively taxing up front there, and the game has got faster, and kind of collisions are big, mauls and scrums, and guys at about, even though they can be the fittest, are finding around 50, 60 minutes, and that's where you kind of replenish, and that's why I think these guys have been so clever with Shark and Rusty being clever with their approach, how they've approached 2019 and post, and they're just building that kind of layer underneath, and they keep on building that. So look, I wouldn't look too much into that. Of course, it's a concern. There's a couple of guys that probably have underlying talents that we are unaware of. So who knows, but hopefully the guys all stay fit and can kind of finish the game, because I just kind of this bomb squad 6-2 split has really just worked for us, and I think they're not going to waver away from that.
Peter, I know you're not that old, but it must be quite a change from when you started there as starting to go into the pro scene. Now you use benches these days. It's absolutely such a specific role, and the kind of feel that you get from Kitsoff and Marks and those kind of guys. It's not seen as you're not making the starting lineup. It's a defined role in terms of this is what you need to be doing. And I mean, even how early they come on, it's not like there's that much of a difference in terms of the game minutes you get these days. Kitsoff comes on 45 to 50, so it's not that big a difference. And I mean, you can see from URC and Super Rugby, Kitsoff usually plays 70 to 75 minutes almost for the Stormers, so it's definitely not a fitness indication or anything on that. That's absolutely a role that Nienaber and Rassie just say, listen, this is what we need from you, and this is what we like from you. So I think they've, not just the Springboks, obviously a lot of people do it, but we've kind of revolutionized that kind of setup.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and we know that, I suppose, if you look in the past couple of years, even further back, 6-7 years, the big tournaments, and you can see the teams that are winning the Champions Cup, kind of these guys have large squads, and the squads are there for the depth, you know, and the guys know that they're going to have to utilize their bench at some stage, and they're going to have to put someone on the field, and that's going to be the difference you will go as we go forward, as we spoke about the taxing part of, you know, rugby and these days. And look, it's those quality on the bench, and that's why I feel the edge we have there over, you know, probably all teams of our depth up front, because they just don't have that depth, you know, and by that stage in parts of the game, that's what makes the difference. You know, you're still tackling trees coming at you, or coke machines, or whatever you want to call it. You know, it's just, you know, just off, you know, kind of ruck after ruck, and it's just taxing. It's just taxing, you know, that you just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze you. So for me, it's going to be a massive factor, you know, coming up to the World Cup. Guys with the defined squads and the bench that can come on and make a difference. And I suppose hence the fact you can see a team like France, why they are playing like they are, and why they are effectively, you know, performing like they are. They have a bench that matches their run-on team. And as with the Boks, you know, I think they will just only get stronger. And we've used this series against Wales. We'll use, obviously, parts of maybe the games that we hopefully get a little bit in the lead during the championship, and also then the end of year tour, to kind of blood some youngsters and get that depth even better.
Rhiannon, how's this one playing out this weekend? It's we're obviously gonna be at the Ellis one, but I don't know if it's crucial for us to win the first one before we get to Ellis Park or not. But I know a lot of people have heard this say, like, we don't want to get arrogant, but we're starting to get that point where it's like, you know, we want to beat the All Blacks and we want to beat them twice, and preferably properly. So how's it happening this weekend?
And we need to win both tests. It's not negotiable. You let them in, you open the door for them in Nelspruit. And I promise you, the cauldron at Ellis Park is no. We need to win both test matches. We'll win this first test match. Again, not being arrogant, just going on the front rows and, you know, the tight fives, etc. But again, we will need something special. We will need a spark, and it's gonna be a very close. I will be extremely surprised if whoever wins the game wins it by more than 8. It's gonna be within a score.
BJ, how do you see it playing out? As Rhiannon said, I kind of see it a little bit. You know, you can't really see the Boks losing or winning this weekend and then not winning next weekend. You know, it's Ellis Park has always been an ally for us. You get the high felt there. It should be even more advantageous, but this first one's probably going to be critical.
Yeah, 100%. I think this first one is critical. In Ellis Park, I wouldn't say the stadium or the environment does the job for us, but yeah, you just go to, I don't know if you can feel, as when you're on the play in the field there, you feel this extra, I don't know what, around you at Ellis Park. So I think this first one is really critical. And yeah, for me, it's I was going to go with 7 points for the Boks. But, you know, I can't see it, again, not more than that. For me, it's going to be hugely physical, as we know. I just, for me, in one part would say we've seen how games have been tainted. One of them obviously would be the Irish All Blacks test matches with kind of yellow cards, red cards. And this is going to be a huge, physical battle up front. We're going to have, guys on another level. So hopefully we don't see any of that, and we kind of can have a battlefield that's kind of evened. The guys go at it as the All Blacks and Springboks do.
Mense, dit is 'n donderdag aand. Ons is 2 dae weg van lekker rugby. Is die Springbokke terug in aksie. It was great chatting to BJ Botha. Rhiannon, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll have some more guests and some more lekker rugby chats coming your way every Thursday as the Boks get into gear. Let's do the green and gold. Geniet hom, mense. Thanks again, DJ.
Cheers, Rhiannon.
En